Do you like mysteries? To wander through the enigmatic mist of the inexplicable? Great. I'm Merc, and here you'll find what you're looking for. Welcome to my domains. The truth dissolves into the mist.
In the summer of the year 1150, the fields of Suffolk witnessed something that defied logic and nature itself. The harvesters were working under a merciless sun when they decided to interrupt their work to fetch water from a nearby well. The Woolpits that gave the village its name, Woolpit. That was when a scream pierced the silence of the English afternoon. Next to the dark opening of the well, two small figures were crouched, trembling as if summer did not exist for them. But it was not fear that paralyzed the workers. It was the color of their skin. A green hue, vibrant and supernatural, covered every inch of those children's bodies as if they had been born from the depths of the earth. The villagers approached slowly, not knowing if they were facing lost orphans or creatures from a place the human mind could not comprehend. The girl appeared no older than 8. The boy was slightly younger. They wore clothes made of an unknown fabric, stitched in a strange way, as if they belonged to a culture that did not exist on any known map. When someone finally found the courage to speak, the children responded with sounds that had never echoed in medieval England, a completely unknown language, unlike any known dialect, with no similarity to Old English, Norman French, or even Church Latin. The villagers took the children to the village, but what seemed like an act of compassion soon became an impossible challenge. They refused to eat anything. Bread, meat, fruits, nothing passed their lips. Day after day, the green children wasted away before the villagers' eyes, who watched helplessly as life slowly drained from those small bodies, until someone had a desperate idea. They brought freshly picked green beans, still moist from the earth. The children's eyes lit up as if they recognized something familiar amid the chaos. They grabbed the beans with a hunger they had not shown before, but there was something disturbing about the way they consumed them. They tried to extract the juice from the stems, sucking on the stalks as if that were the very essence of life, completely ignoring the pods. The villagers watched the scene without understanding if they were witnessing a ritual or simply the desperation of those who come from a place where food exists differently. The boy, weaker and smaller, did not resist for long. His body, still covered by that greenish hue, fell ill quickly and succumbed a few days after being found. The girl remained, and as the days passed, something extraordinary began to happen. Her green skin started to fade slowly, as if the color was being washed away by exposure to the world of men. The villagers realized it was not an innate characteristic, but something superficial, a layer that could be removed by time and ordinary food. When she finally learned enough words to communicate, when they could finally ask where she came from, the girl's answer froze the blood of those who listened. She said she came from a land where there was no sun, only a perpetual twilight that covered everything with a soft and eternal light, a place where day never fully arrived and night never completely fell. The chroniclers of the time would record that name decades later, St. Martin's Land, a location that scholars would try to find on maps without ever succeeding. The girl explained that she and her brother were tending their father's flock when they heard a strange sound, a bell perhaps, or a wind different from anything they knew. The sound attracted them, guided them through a sudden darkness, and when they emerged again into the light, they were lying by the wolf pit, surrounded by people with pink skin who shouted in a language that sounded like meaningless noise. The historians Ralph of Coggeshall and William of Newburgh recorded this case in their manuscripts. Men of the church, accustomed to separating miracles from superstitions, both dedicated space in their chronicles to narrate the encounter with the green children. William of Newburgh, particularly skeptical of fantastic stories, wrote about the case as something worthy of admiration, stating that he received his account from reliable and trustworthy sources. The girl survived, learned English, was baptized, and received the name Agnes. She married a man from King's Lynn, a few miles from Woolpit, and lived for many years among those who once saw her as a creature from another world. But before disappearing from historical records, she told more details about her homeland. According to her, there was no sun in her land, but the inhabitants saw light from beyond the great river that separated their world from the other, a river so vast that the other bank could barely be glimpsed. Modern science has tried to explain the inexplicable with the instruments of reason. The most accepted theory among contemporary scholars is that of children lost from copper mines. In the 12th century, medieval England was a territory of intense mineral exploration, and copper, when processed, could cause a condition called arsenic or heavy metal poisoning capable of altering skin pigmentation. Children who worked or lived near mines could develop this greenish coloration, especially if their diet was deficient. The girl mentioned a place of perpetual twilight, which could describe the dark interior of a mine, where sunlight never fully penetrates. The sound that attracted them out could be the noise of English miners working in upper levels. The strange clothes would simply be garments from an isolated region of England, or perhaps Flanders, where different fabrics were common. The green beans, their only acceptable food, would be the staple of poor families living in isolated mining communities. But this explanation, as logical as it seems, leaves questions unanswered. If they came from a nearby mine, why did no one ever claim those children? Why did no family appear looking for two lost siblings? How to explain the completely unknown language in a region where dialectal variations still allowed some communication? The girl learned English quickly after surviving, but initially recognized no words of the local language. St. Martin's Land mentioned by her also intrigues. Historians, St. Martin was a saint associated with light, but also with graves and the transition between worlds. Some medieval traditions spoke of a land of St. Martin as a place between heaven and earth, a kind of limbo where souls waited. But the girl described ordinary people living there, herding flocks, existing in an eternal twilight. Modern theorists raise more disturbing hypotheses: parallel dimensions, adjacent realities that occasionally overlap with ours, creating points of contact where the impossible becomes visible. The sound that attracted the children, the sudden darkness, the displacement to a world of full sun from a place of eternal penumbra, all of this fits into contemporary narratives of encounters with alternative realities. The girl survived and integrated, but the boy died as if his body could not withstand the transition between worlds. His skin lost its green color when eating earthly food, as if the very essence of his being was gradually being replaced by the matter of this world. What most disturbs researchers is the consistency of the account through the centuries. Two independent chroniclers, in different monasteries, recorded the story with converging details. Ralph of Coggeshall wrote his account while the girl was still alive, basing it on direct testimonies. William of Newburgh, known for his skepticism towards popular miracles, treated the case as a historical fact worthy of record. Both mention the green skin, the unknown language, the refusal of ordinary food, the discovery of beans, the death of the boy, the survival and integration of the girl. Both cite St. Martin's Land as the origin declared by the child. Woolpit, the village of the wolf pits, still exists today in Suffolk. No marker, no plaque, no memorial celebrates the encounter with the green children. But the wells that gave the village its name are still there, or at least their memory remains in the name that centuries have not erased. The question that echoes through time is simple and terrifying. If those children really came from another place, If that girl really existed and integrated into English society of the 12th century, then what happened to the passage they crossed? The sound they heard, the darkness they faced, the river that separated their world from ours, all of this remained accessible only to them. Or still today, in some field in Suffolk, in some forgotten well among the vegetation, there is an invisible fissure waiting to be reopened. The girl lived, married, had an ordinary life among ordinary people, but in her last days, when she was already an elderly woman speaking perfect English, did she still remember the land where the sun never rose? Did she look at the English sky, at that full and harsh midday light, and feel nostalgia for the eternal twilight of her childhood? The chroniclers did not record her final words. The story ends as it began, with a green and silent mystery hovering over the fields of Woolpit. To this day, when summer bears down on Suffolk and the harvesters work under the merciless sun, some old villagers still avoid approaching the wells after nightfall. They say that on very quiet nights, when the mist rises from the fields, it is possible to hear something coming from the depths. Not a scream, not a call, just the distant echo of a language that no one has ever been able to translate.
Did you like this mystery? And what is your theory? Leave your thoughts in the comments. And if you enjoyed it, then like and share. I'm Merc, and I'll be waiting for you in the next mystery.